Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm here for another 2020 NHL mock draft simulation, but today not just the top 19 but the top 27 in the 2020 draft. So with this new order fully revealed for the top 27, where do I see each of these prospects going and which prospects do I see being drafted in the top 27 of this year's NHL draft? Watch till the end for all my predictions and picks, and of course hit that subscribe button alongside that like button for more videos just like this one. Now, the last time we did this was a top 19, but now with the conference finals, we can now go in the top 27 picks. The Islanders, as I'm recording this, have not been defeated yet. They're going on to Game 6, so I didn't want to jump the gun and have them in this ranking, let alone the Vegas Golden Knights either, so we're just going to stick with the top 27. But we're going to start out with the first overall pick in the New York Rangers, and at this spot, no, I don't think Kaden Guhle is going to pick the pick. I'm going to go on a limb here. I think it's going to be a hot take. Alexis Lafreniere will go first overall. A perfect fit for the New York Rangers, left wing QMJHLer, who this season was just brilliant in pretty much every department. Going into this year, there was a couple holes in his game, especially when you look at the overall game, but Alexis Lafreniere has done a much better job, and I think he is pretty much as complete as you can get. A guy who I think will be in the NHL year one and will be ready for, I think, top 6 responsibilities. Then going on to number 2, second overall to the LA Kings, I have them selecting German left winger Tim Stützle. I had them selecting Stützle in the last mock draft as well, and even though I have Stützle third in my prospect rankings, picking a number 2 isn't too egregious. Now, Tim Stützle is a guy that fits well in LA system too. Left winger, they really don't have too many in the system right now, let alone wingers in general. And I feel like with the center surplus there, Stützle will fit right in. Some amazing skill there and a lot of room to grow. Might not be NHL ready, but by the time he is, I think he's going to be a great first line guy for LA and will be a part of that great future going forward. Then going on to number 3 for the Ottawa Senators, they get a gift at number 3 in Quinton Byfield. Future first line center for the team and could be that very quickly. He might not be NHL ready, but by the time he's there, just like Stützle, I think he's just going to be absolutely on it. We have seen, I think, some great work from him in the offseason, and he is one of the youngest players in this draft, so I think another year in the OHL will definitely suit him well, but I think that's a player that just potential-wise could be elite in almost every single area, and as a center provides a lot of value for the Sens too. Then going into number 4, I'm going to have the same pick as I did last time, and I think Detroit will select Swedish winger Lucas Raymond. I kind of feel like it's between Lucas Raymond and Cole Perfetti at this point, but I feel like Steve Yzerman is going to go for the Sweden Lucas Raymond. He has been pretty brilliant so far in the SHL preseason. I'm hoping that continues personally because I like Raymond quite a bit. He is ranked number 4 for me as well, so getting him at number 4, not a bad pick whatsoever. And I feel like for Detroit, he'd be a great winger alongside that future of Manfa and Larkin and would really bolster that prospect pool. Sure, I think they would definitely love to take a guy like Stützle or Byfield, but I don't think it'll be available there. I think they will go for one of the wingers in Perfetti and Raymond, I think, will be their choice. But now ending the top 5 at number 5 in the Ottawa Senators, once again going with their own pick. At this spot, I've contemplated a lot, as you guys know, on who Ottawa will actually take here. I've gone with Jake Sanderson, Jamie Drysdale, Marco Rossi. I think I've predicted like Alexander Holtz in one time. But today, I'm going to go for a different pick, and right after number 4, the team that could get Cole Perfetti will go at number 5. And the Ottawa Senators will select the center/winger from the Saginaw Spirit in Cole Perfetti. Now this pick, I'm not sure if I agree with. I think I have him number 6 or 7 in my rankings, so around there. Personally, I think there's better players available like Marco Rossi. When we look at what they would do with that draft, you have number 3 in Byfield and Perfetti. Perfetti, I think, could also be a winger, but he could definitely be a center in the NHL level if he's given some more time. But just thinking about that top 3 center core going forward of guys like Byfield, like Perfetti, and then in the system already with guys like Josh Norris, pretty great future for the Sens if they're able to develop right. Famous last words, but that's one heck of a prospect pool right there. And now going on to number 6 and the Anaheim Ducks, and at this spot, if they have both available, both defensemen, Jake Sanderson and Jamie Drysdale, I think they will go for the Canadian D-man in Jamie Drysdale. Now, we look at Anaheim's defense group, you have Manson, Lindholm, Cam Fowler, and that's pretty solid, but when you look at the prospect pool defensively, there's really not too much. It's pretty bare bones right now, and I feel like Anaheim could use that next great young defenseman. Jamie Drysdale, I don't think is going to be amazing. It might not be as good good as the defenseman they gave away in Shea Theodore, but I think that's the type of guy that can be a first pairing solid defenseman who can contribute quite a bit on both ends of the ice. I think he's more of an offensive guy, but defensively throughout the season, and especially the World Juniors, he definitely showcased his capabilities quite a bit. Then going on to number 7, we have from the New Jersey Devils. This is a pick I've just been hell-bent on for the last few months. You guys know this. I think it's Alexander Holtz. It's not even a question. Marco Rossi, I think, would make it quite interesting if he's available, but I still think they go for Holtz. You could get a great, one of the best goal scorers, I think, of this draft. You put him alongside Hughes, you put him alongside Hughes. I think it would be beautiful. I think he might need maybe a couple of years left in Sweden, or maybe one in the AHL after this season, but once he is ready, I think that's a player that once he develops his speed a little bit more, he develops more of his offensive capabilities, the goal scoring is there, the shot is there, and I think that's a player that'll fit right in on New Jersey. Then going on to number 8, and we have from the Buffalo Sabres, Marco Rossi. The Austrian center, I have a feeling might slip a little bit in this draft, which is unfortunate because he is a small player, he's 5'9", but that shouldn't worry you at all. He's the type of player that even though he is small and projected to be a center, I think absolutely will be a center at the NHL level. When you watch him play, his just worth ethic and his play driving is just amazing, and the skill that he has is sweet too. Not the greatest center, and that will be one of my main gripes, but still at the same time, it's not that bad. Then going on to number 9 from the Minnesota Wild, I think they will select USA defenseman Jake Sanderson. Now, I see Sanderson being drafted in this top 10. I really don't see him going past number 10 to Winnipeg, but I feel like Minnesota at this spot will be the pick. I had him going number 5 to Ottawa just in the last mock draft, so I'm kind of all over the place on where I think he's going to go, but if he's available to Minnesota, especially if Marco Rossi is gone, I feel like they will go for Jake Sanderson, and he fits out quite well. I think that's the type of defenseman that can learn from that great defense core. I mean, guys like Spurgeon and Jonas Braden, two of one of the better defensive defensemen in the league. Jake Sanderson has a lot to learn from guys like that. I think he has the potential to be just like those guys too. Might not be worth a 9th overall pick, but I think a top 4 defenseman in the future for Minnesota. Then going on to number 10 from the Winnipeg Jets, I have them selecting Finnish center Anton Lundell. Now, there are some picks here that are less team-based, but this is just a slam dunk for the Winnipeg Jets. This is the perfect player to get at the perfect time, and for Winnipeg is the perfect second line center I think they need. He might not be completely NHL ready, but with the NHL season potentially starting in January, that might change things, and I feel like Anton Lundell might be a player that could sneak into the roster, or if not, the next season for sure. Just a strong defensive player who I think will win a Selke in his career, alongside some very underrated offensive abilities, some solid skating too. I think that's a player that can put up upwards of 55 points, maybe even 60, and again, be in Selke contention, which is just perfect for what Winnipeg Jets need right now. Now on to number 11 and the Nashville Predators, and at this spot I could see them taking the top goaltender in Yaroslav Askarov, but I think they will go for the right wing Canadian in Seth Jarvis. Now I think I have Seth Jarvis exactly at this spot, 11th in my prospect ranking, so pretty solid pick all around for the Nashville Predators. And Seth Jarvis, I just think, fits their system amazingly. They already got small, great forwards like Victor Arvidsson, and I feel like Seth Jarvis would fit right at home. I could see them taking a defenseman, but with Jake Sanderson gone at number 9 or even at number 10, I really don't see him being available for Nashville to take. I think they would take him if he's available, but Seth Jarvis is a guy who on that right side would just be perfect, I think, for Nashville. Then going on to number 12 from the Florida Panthers, there have been some people that have said to me that they think Florida will take a defenseman here, but we gotta remember, Dale Talon is not the GM anymore, and I don't think Caden Gooley will be the pick. I think they will go for a forward, and that forward will be Jack Quinn. I think I had this in the last mock draft, I'm pretty sure, something like that, but I had them taking a forward. And I feel like when it comes to Jack Quinn, it's a pretty great fit. They've already had some great young goal scorers that have come into the system. Mike Hoffman, not so much anymore, but he's been a great guy there in Florida. I feel like Florida just sets up goal scorers, at least over the past few seasons, very well. Guys like Huberdeau now coming into their prime, playmaking-wise. I feel like Jack Quinn could fit in quite well. You could have Huberdeau on the left side, Barkov at center, and then Jack Quinn on the right wing. I don't know if he's a first-line player, but a top-6 guy who can dominate on the power play. I think that's what Jack Quinn can be. Then going on to number 13 of the Carolina Hurricanes, this one coming from the Toronto pick, and they will select the young goaltender in Yaroslav Askarov. Now, Askarov is kind of the big wild card in this draft, because I could see him going top 10. Maybe Minnesota takes a flyer on him if they aren't too sure in Capo Kakinen, but I feel like 13, 14, or 15 is the spot. I really don't see him going past number 15 to Toronto, and I think 13 is a good spot for him to go to. Carolina is a team that could use a goaltender like that, and even though they get Kochetkov in the last draft, and they do got some solid guys in the system like Nedeljkovic. I feel like Askarov still will be their pick. That's the type of goaltender that can actually be an elite one at the NHL level, potential-wise. And I like Kochetkov. I like guys like Nedeljkovic, but they're probably not going to be complete starters at the NHL level like Askarov can be. Goaltenders are always a risk, but Carolina, let's be honest, has the option to take a risk, and at 13th overall, potentially getting an elite goaltender, not too bad. Then going on to number 14 of the Edmonton Oilers, I think at this spot they will select, once again, German left winger Lukas Reichel. I just like this fit. I don't know about you guys, but I just love Lukas Reichel on the Edmonton Oilers. I think he just works so amazing. They could use some more left wing power in the prospect pool and another German in that system alongside Leon Drysdale. I just need to see it happen. I don't know. I just want it so badly. But Lukas Reichel does fit. Had a great DEL year. I think that's the type of player that will need some time, that's for sure. But I think the offensive skill set is solid, and I think for the Edmonton Oilers at 14, not too bad of a pick whatsoever. Then going on to number 15 and the Toronto Maple Leafs, this one from the Pittsburgh pick, they will select defenseman Braden Schneider. To me, this is also one of those picks, I would say, like Winnipeg with Anton Lundell, that just makes a ton of sense for what Toronto is going for. Now, personally, if you want to get a better prospect pool just in general, a guy like Dawson Mercer, who's still available at this point, might be the better player, and I think is. But Braden Schneider is a guy who I think fits Toronto amazingly, has the capability to be a strong second pairing defensive stalwart, might not be the best shutdown guy in the league, but I think once he develops a skill, will do quite well. And now going to number 16 and the Montreal Canadiens, and in the last mock draft, I had them selecting left winger Dylan Holloway, but I have them selecting a different left winger today, that being Russian winger Rodion Amirov. Now, I think I had Amirov in the early 10s in the last mock draft, but him being available at number 16, I don't think he's getting past Montreal. And for Habs fans, I think this is a perfect player for the Habs to get at number 16. For me, he's kind of like a Brendan Gallagher if you think about it, a guy who never quits on plays, never quits, and always tries to do as much as humanly possible. Also, add on top of that is some great underlying skill. I think that's one of the better defensive players in this draft, even if you include defensemen. I think Rodion Amirov is just such a solid overall two-way winger, and to get that type of package that could fit on your second line and be like an all-utility type player at number 16, not a bad pick whatsoever for the Montreal Canadiens. Then going in number 17 in the Chicago Blackhawks, and at this spot, I think they will select French-Canadian Dawson Mercer. Now, Dawson Mercer, I'm pretty sure I have him 12 in my prospect ranking, so to get him at number 17, quite the good pick for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I think he fits them quite well. He's a winger first and foremost. He could play center and maybe be like the second line center of the future, but I think he's more likely to be a winger on that right wing and work pretty well, potentially with a guy like Kirby Dach. I could definitely see that working. He really is, I would say, a great overall decent package. He's not Alexis Lafreniere, but he's kind of just worse a little bit in every single area, but kind of is like Lafreniere in the fact that he doesn't really have too many holes in his game. He's solid defensively, I think has a lot of great skills in his tool set. Not the greatest goal scorer, I think, but in terms of playmaking, has a lot of potential, and I think in Chicago could work out quite well. Then going to number 18, this from the New Jersey Devils from the Arizona pick, and at this spot, I think they will select center Connor Zary. Now, I think this all depends on what New Jersey does at number 7, because if they select Marco Rossi, who's a center, there's no way they select another center at number 18, but they got Holtz with the 7th pick, and I think Connor Zary just makes sense. There is some decent center options in New Jersey's pool, but most of the forwards that they have on the top level are looking to project as wingers. The only real centers I could see making it are like Tyce Thompson, potentially. And even then, he's kind of a wild card on what happens. With Connor Zary, there's not too many wild cards. He is looking like pretty much a sure thing to the NHL. Might not be anything more than the third line center, but for New Jersey to get that type of middle six guy who can provide a lot of utility and a lot of value at number 18, not the worst pick in the world. And even though there might not be too much upside there, I still think there's a lot of good play with Connor Zary in New Jersey. Then going on to number 19 and the Calgary Flames, and he might go a lot earlier, but once again, I have him at number 19, that being defenseman Caden Gooley. Now, personally, I wouldn't touch Caden Gooley until the second second round, but I think he will go top 20 in this draft, and Calgary, I just think, is a great fit for him. That's the type of team that would just love a guy like that, a guy who could just provide a lot of physicality, some decent physical play, but he's one of those guys that brings the physicality, the character, the intangibles. Not worth a first round pick in my opinion, but I think he will go to top 20 for sure. Then going on to number 20 in the New Jersey Devils once again, this one from the Vancouver pick, and with this one, I think they will end up selecting the defenseman. I had them selecting Helge Grans 18th last time, and I think they will select Helge Grans 20th this time around. Now, the reason I have him 20 as opposed to 18 this time is because I think they will want to go for Connor Zary at 18, and I don't think they want to risk Calgary taking him at number 19. So I think they'll select 18th overall Connor Zary, and then go for Helge Grans at number 20. But with Grans, that's a solid, great, I think, overall sturdy Swedish defenseman. Then going on to number 21 and the Columbus Blue Jackets, and at this spot, I think they will select Swedish winger Noel Gunler. Now, to me, Noel Gunler is number 10 in my prospect rankings. Still love him quite a bit, but I think he will drop a little bit in this draft. But I think Columbus will go and get him at number 21, be a little bit smart here, and get a great potential top 6 winger in this draft. I feel like Noel Gunler, even though he is, again, on the older side, will develop quite nicely, and in Columbus could provide some great skill there. I think alongside a guy like a Pierre-Luc Dubois could work out quite well. They already got quite a great European presence on that team, and I feel like Noel Gunler will fit right at home on that top 6 and on that power play. And now going on to the New York Rangers at number 22, this one coming from the Canes pick, and at this spot, I think they will select French-Canadian center Henrix Lapierre. Now, Henrix Lapierre is easily one of the most interesting prospects in this draft. Over the past couple of seasons, has had a big issue with concussions, has multiple. I think it's been 3 over the last 2 years, which has put me off a little bit from him. Even when he was healthy last season in his short season there, he wasn't really the greatest. So I had him around number 30, wasn't really too sure where to put him, to be honest, either. But so far in this QMJHL preseason, he's been magnificent with guys like Dawson Mercer. So if he is more on the healthy side, I could see him going a lot higher in this draft than he normally would. And I feel like New York getting him at number 22 could be a great steal if he is completely healthy. That's the type of guy that potential-wise I think can become a top 6 center. Getting that number 22, not too bad whatsoever, and I think New York has a prospect pool already to bet on a guy like that. Then going on to number 23 and the Philadelphia Flyers, and I feel like they will go for another winger in this draft and go for John Jason Peterka, or not in this draft, just overall their prospect pool. John Jason Peterka is a very solid German winger. I think personally the third best German in this draft, but still I think can provide some lot of value. I think some people kind of getting confused with a guy like Lukas Reichel because I don't think Peterka has this awesome skill or anything, but he's just an effective player and uses his defensive just maturity to really get things done. There's nothing too flashy about him in my opinion, but that's the type of guy that could be a solid third line, maybe second line winger in the NHL, maybe not anything more than that, but a solid NHL player to get at number 23. Then going on to number 24 and the Washington Capitals, and at this spot I think they will select Canadian Ryan O'Rourke. Now I think Ryan O'Rourke is one of the more underrated players in this class. I have him right in the first round at the, I think, tail end of the first at this point, but he's a guy that's definitely warmed up on me. I think that's the type of guy that will surprise a lot of people. I think he's kind of in that Thomas Harley range where he will surprise a little bit of people going a little bit higher than maybe could have, and then he really starts to mature in terms of the overall game. But I think Ryan O'Rourke has already shown a lot. Defensively, I think he is really underrated, and he really got the job done with the Sioux Greyhounds this year. And I feel like that's the type of defenseman that Washington can bring on. In the prospect pool, there's really not too much to go on defensively, but Ryan O'Rourke will get a little bit of fresh air in that Caps prospect pool, and at number 24, not a bad pick either. Then going into number 25 in the Colorado Avalanche, and I think this will be where the Canadian winger goes, that being Dylan Holloway. Now, going from 16 to 25 in mock drafts isn't the greatest, but Dylan Holloway is one of those players that definitely has a high ceiling, but more of a low floor. I still like him quite a bit as a top 20 prospect, but Holloway is a guy that still does need to prove more. I think he was better as the NCAA season went on, but still a little bit disappointing. But for Colorado, I think that's the exact type of player that they can develop around a guy like an Alexander Newhook and could be in that middle six. I don't think he'll be anything more than that as an effective just Swiss Army knife almost, but a very solid get at number 25, I think. Then going on to number 26, I think this is a guy that will surprise some people going in the first round, but I think a lot of teams will be very high on him. From the St. Louis Blues, I think they will select Canadian defenseman Justin Barron. Now, Justin Barron is an interesting case. Had a couple of big injuries. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that held him out for quite a while this season. I think Justin Barron is a solid, decent defensive prospect. I wouldn't put him in the first round. I don't think he's a first round prospect, but he does have the potential to be a good NHL contributor. I mean, he was looked at as a top 10 pick just a couple years ago going into this draft. So I don't know if he'll become a top 4 guy for St. Louis, but I think he can reach the NHL if he can get over those injuries and start to develop a little bit more nicely. He has the talent, he has the skill, and I think in St. Louis it's a pretty good prospect system to go into. Then going on to number 27, our last pick here today from the Anaheim Ducks, this from the Boston Bruins pick, and at this spot I think they will select Canadian center Maverick Bourque. Now, Maverick Bourque can go pretty underrated. Some people kind of overrate him a little bit, but I think Maverick Bourque is just a solid get for the Anaheim Ducks. A middle six center who I think can do a lot of damage there. Just in terms of how I would explain him, I would say he's low-key effective. That's the type of player that, again, isn't too flashy, but just gets the job done. And I feel like that's the type of guy that overall especially has a lot of value to give, and potentially as a second-line center to Trevor Zegras, I think that could work out quite well. In the draft, you already got Jamie Drysdale, you get Maverick Bourque, and then you have Trevor Zegras on top of that prospect pool. Not too bad for the Anaheim Ducks, and a pretty solid pick at number 27. Now, there is a few players that I wasn't able to include in this top 27, but definitely could be in the top 27 when we look back on it. Guys like Jacob Perreault could be up there. Forward-wise, guys like Tyson Forrester, Brendan Brisson, Ozzy Weisblatt. Defensively, there's a few guys, Emil Andre, William Wallander, 2 great Swede defensemen there that could go in that first round, could go in the top 27, but those are the main guys that could be right outside of that, or it could be on the top 27 when this draft is all said and done and completed. But that is going to be it for today's top 27. Let me know down in the comments down below what you agree and disagree with my rankings, and where do you see the top prospects going in this draft? Who do you see your favorite team taking as well? But make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new and enjoy the content, and of course hit that notification bell as well. Share this video with your friends, get the mock draft out there, and click on this card right here to watch all of my 2021 NHL draft content. My name is Nathan, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Goodbye.